day out. Call in FHA. These are the housing types we need to meet the needs of those in need. What are you building 4-bedroom houses, 5-bedroom houses for? Anybody who is going to buy for government 4 or 5-bedroom house can afford to build a house for himself. And I don't see why government should be addressing the needs of those people who can provide for themselves. The emphasis should be on those who do not have access to decent housing, who do not have access to affordable housing. And government intervention is to make those houses affordable to the teeming population. In 2014, I was in Colombia. And that particular year, that government of Colombia built 100,000 housing units and gave it out to those in need of houses. That is intervention by government. We're saying there is hardship in the country. You are thinking of releasing grains from government storage facility. I read in the paper today that those grains are going to be given out to Nigerians free of charge. That is to tackle the issue of hunger. But people have been living in this country without adequate housing. What effort is the government making to ensure that those people who do not live in decent houses are provided with decent houses? You could reduce the rent on those houses. Yes, that's a government intervention to address specific people's problems. Apart from food, the next thing somebody needs is house, shelter. So the issue of housing supply in this country must be taken seriously. What segment of the population must we address their housing needs? The government's interest should be to address the housing needs of that segment of the population that the commercial housing developers are not addressing their needs. Whether you like it or not, the people who are providing houses, estate developers, are in the business for profit. Even if you give them the land free as equity participation by the government, at today's rate, with the cost of building materials escalating every day, they will still find a way to make a profit from their investment. So government, whether we like it or not, has been intervening in providing social services to people. Okay. They are building roads, interstate highways, railway system, but the houses which people will live in order to use those roads, are not there.
Okay. All right, we have to go for a break now. You're watching City Pulse on Housing TV Africa, and we've been having a conversation with a former president of the NITP, talking about town planner Steve Onu. And we've not just been talking about informal settlements, but also burning national issues, looking at the state of the economy and how this it's portraying a threat to the quest for affordable housing for Nigerians. We'll be doing this again after the break. Please stay with us.
Thank you, AIHS, for the opportunity of this exhibition. It was a nice experience. I would like to make it again.
Thank you, AIHS. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, AIHS.
Thank you, AIHS.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
Welcome back to City Pulse on Housing TV Africa. I am Cassandra Yinumbe, and today we are putting the spotlight on informal settlements and poor housing quality in Nigeria, and also addressing some of the burning national issues, looking at the state of the economy with a rise in the price of cement and other building materials, and how this poses a threat to the quest for affordable housing in Nigeria. And we have a former president of the NITP talking about town planner Steve Onu, and he's been having a robust conversation here. Thank you so much once again for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
All right, now you were talking about the state of the economy and how this is going to affect the plan to have housing for Nigerians. Yes, there is need for housing, but obviously from what you've said, there seems to be a lack of coordination. There seems to be a lack of planning, and also the need to do a survey first, because for whatever you're doing, you have to go out there, sample what it is before you come back to the drawing board to see how this is sustainable. Now, there have been questions about previous housing projects in Nigeria, because this is not the first of its kind in Nigeria, but of course there's still different administrations, different projects. What will it take for us to have continuity when it comes to providing affordable housing solutions for Nigerians?
Now, let's look at issue of site and services, for instance. If government acquires land and prepares layouts and serviced those lands, and possibly attach each plot to a mortgage facility, so that whoever you allocate that land to has access to mortgage. It doesn't have to be a mortgage for 1 or 2 or 3 years. It has to be a long-term mortgage of about 30 years. So that the person you are allocating the land has easy access to funding. And you give him a possibly 2-year moratorium during the construction. And then the amortization of the loan will run for about 30 years with single-digit interest rate. Our primary mortgage banks should spread out their activities through maybe secondary mortgage instruments.
Okay.
So that those who are getting allocations will have ready source of funding to enable them build their houses. 2, before we prepare the layout, it is also good for us to know how our population is segmented. Who amongst us can afford 1-bedroom house? Who amongst us can afford 2-bedroom houses or 3-bedroom houses at the maximum? You don't need 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom or 5 bedrooms. For who? For your children when they are with you. After 21 years, they leave the house. And then you will be stuck with your wife in a 4-bedroom house. Government would have spent so much money building those 4-bedroom houses that at the end of the day, only 2 people will be living in. So I prefer a situation where you'll be addressing the needs of this large population of youths between the age of, say, 20 to 40 or 45,
Okay.
who are in the labor market, who need good shelter, whether it is to be provided by housing, Federal Housing Corporation or by Housing Authority or State Housing Corporation, or by private estate developers. As private estate developers should concentrate their efforts in providing houses, mixed houses, for low income, middle income, and concentrate more on high income. I do not believe that government should waste its resources in providing houses for those who can afford to build their own houses. That is high income people.
Okay. And according to this plan of the president, it is going to cover low-income earners as well, because there is a provision for a payment plan and all of that. But obviously, from what we have been, I mean, what this conversation we've been having so far, you seem to have a lot of question marks, a lot of loopholes that you identified in this project. And I want to ask, as an expert or as a town planner, what do you think that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his government must do to ensure that this particular project does not toe the same line with previous housing projects in Nigeria? What must they do to ensure that the right thing happens with these particular projects and to ensure continuity?
First, go back to the drawing board. Find out what percentage of Nigerians are in need of these houses. Where are they? It's very easy to say, oh, we're building 20,000 houses in Abuja. Huh? But you will need houses in Calabar. Are you saying that there are no people living in those states that need houses? How did you arrive at the proportion you are giving these houses to, state by state? Did you carry out any study to find out actually how many people in these areas need houses? That's the starting point. What type of housing mix do they need? It's not enough to say I'm flagging off a project, we are building 20,000 housing units, it will accommodate low income, middle income, high income. How many people out of the 20,000 fall within low income groups? We have to find out. What type of housing mix do we envisage and we want to build in those, out of those 20? Is it one bedroom? Is it efficiency? Is it 2 bedrooms? So these are the studies that must be carried out. We don't have to be in a hurry to be glorified in the newspapers. No.
Okay.
We carry out studies to justify our decisions. You don't wake up and then because a pressman is asking you questions and then you think, oh, let me say something so that people will be happy. We need studies.
Okay. So obviously from what you're saying, not very much of survey has been done, and the government will have to go back to the drawing board to be able to address the issue of housing in Nigeria. If I got you correctly, I'm trying to paraphrase what you said about the fact that the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development is not entirely responsible for this housing project. It should not be so, if I got you correctly.
We have
the Federal Housing Authority. So could you just throw more light on these for our viewers so that they can understand what you mean here? Because when we are talking about the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, I think the layman understanding, they would expect that, yes, the minister is supposed to oversee this. So how is the FHA coming in the mix, or what roles are they supposed to play to ensure that these houses are made available to Nigerians?
That ministry has 2 major areas: housing and urban development. We are proposing building houses. Where is urban development component of it? Have you prepared a layout? Have you prepared a master plan across the, because we are talking about something you are doing across the country. And then we find it very easy to say we are doing a pilot project here. And after that pilot project, it phases out. The Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development should come up with programs that both FHA will buy into, the private developers will buy into, and state governments and local governments could buy into. Okay?
All right, sir.
And develop these programs such that it will be attractive to all concerned. They established Federal Housing Authority to be providing houses for Nigerians. Why is the ministry taking over that responsibility and leaving FHA?
Okay. So what instances have given
Food
this
transfer.
impression?
Get FHA to carry out its program. Okay?
Okay.
And then transfer whatever money you have for that program to FHA. Let them build. Okay?
All right.
Most of our houses, I think 1996, 95 or 94, when Zita Adisa was the Minister for Housing, they decided to have housing programs across some states. They came to Imo State, for instance. We gave them land. They insisted that those who are going to participate in this housing will pay 140,000. We paid. From that day to today, we didn't see land, we didn't see house, we didn't see our money. That program was started by federal ministry, and it dies there up to today. They had a site and service scheme, 1985, in Imo State. 2 large layouts. The lands were allocated to individuals. Site and service, no service was provided. From that day to today, nothing has happened.
There seemed to be no accountability.
No accountability. Meanwhile, people, those who were allocated lands, paid whatever the government asked them to pay. And up to today, they don't have access to the land.
So what will it take for the government, not just this government, and even the governments to come, what will it take for them to go back and look at some of these things? Because as much as it has happened in the past, doesn't mean that people have forgotten or it is not in the record somewhere.
Yeah.
What will it take for the government to go back and look at this, have a review, where they don't just start afresh, but go back to what was and look at a way of trying to continue from there, especially when it comes to saving funds and also looking at a way to save the face of the government, so to say, not necessarily save the face of the government, but to a form of continuum, yes, because it shouldn't just start, stop, and then another person comes for 4-8 years, they stop, and then another person comes with a different plan, and then it continues like that. I know you've mentioned going back to the drawing board, but it seems like there is that lack of political will to go about all of these things, and every day it is affecting the quest for accessible housing for Nigerians.
Good. I expect that the minister should have assembled the cream of his directors and asked them, what have we done in the past? Why did we fail? Take every 4 years, they have had one program or the other, or project or the other. Why did this one fail? Why did this one fail? Why did this one fail? You aggregate them. From there, you look for a solution. Not coming in, and then you think, oh, let us make headline news. Let us build 20,000 housing units in Abuja, 2,000 per state or 5,000 per state, 500 per local government. For who? We should be able to do what is sustainable. Go to Singapore. Their housing development board is building houses every day. In their data bank, they know every Singaporean that owns a house. And there is an income range you get to, you will not qualify to get into public housing. And about 90% of Singaporeans live on public houses. And you can not own 2 houses in Singapore. But here, let them complete this one. All the people who own houses in Gwarimpa will be the people who own the houses in this new project. And there is no how to check who is coming into the basket. So we need a robust attempt to know where we have failed or why we failed in the past and move forward to achieving our goal. Providing decent housing, affordable housing to Nigerians.
This conversation is definitely not going to end here. I really wish we had time to go on and on. But just before I let you go this time, sir, could you just tell us in a minute what the NITP as an institute or NGO is doing to address some of these loopholes that we've mentioned here this time. What is the NITP doing? Just in a minute, sir.
The NITP has been organizing workshops and conferences.
Okay.
Addressing both housing problems, addressing environmental problems, addressing transportation problems, addressing security problems, and at the end of every of these situations, they come up with a communique. And these communiques are usually sent out to all the governments in this country to have a look. We had this workshop or conference in housing. This is what our people said. And if they are conscious of what they are doing well, they would study those communiques and set up committees within their government to look at these recommendations. The NITP has been forthcoming, organizing conferences, making recommendations, issuing communique, and distributing this to governments. We've not shied away from it. And the national president, I've discovered, has been appearing on your program and in other programs, advising government on issues. But the problem is that our governments do not know that they are there to serve humanity. Most of our cities don't have water. Okay? It's an urban service. We don't have light. Individuals are now providing themselves with boreholes.
Everything.
The water from boreholes are not potable because they are not treated. So these are services governments should be providing. But we are, God.
It's an entire circle.
Of course.
It's an entire circle, and there is every need to plan, and there is nothing that the government can do without planning, including the mantra of providing affordable housing to Nigerians. Now, obviously, there's so much of work that we need to do, and we must have these conversations around the need to provide affordable and accessible housing to Nigerians. And obviously, from the conversation we've had today, it's just about making the right choices, about making the right plans. And Nigeria must go beyond the quest to make headlines and be more truthful about providing affordable housing solutions for Nigerians. Hope you had an amazing time watching City Pulse on Housing TV Africa. I've been having the honor of talking to Town Planner Steve Onua, past president of the NITP, and I'm hoping that he will come join us someday again right here on the program, because I know that our conversation is far from being over. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
all right, dear viewer, thank you. Keep watching Housing TV Africa. Do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am Cassandra Yenumbe. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
We don't have road, and you see, at times if it is raining, you will see a lot of people will go by the roadside. They'll be thrown dirt on the main road. We also doesn't have toilet. You see a toilet, you still have to 30 tenants. They are using one. You can't leave your door open, go and buy something. Before you will know, Babambola will enter. By the time you will take them to police station, 1 hour is too much. The police people will release them. In fact, we don't know what is happening.
This is the situation with many citizens in not just Nigeria. Are we ready for this conversation? What is the plight of an average Nigerian citizen in regards to housing? Housing is a fundamental human right, and these issues must be addressed.
you.